There was a time not so long ago when being told one was suffering with HIV was a death sentence. No more. But the staggering amount of money it will take to treat the world is something that needs to be considered and likely needs to be implemented at any cost. So where does the money come from and who will lead the way? Leading the way on the Hardline News Call is the former Lieutenant Governor of the state of New York, now Senior Fellow at the London Center for Policy Research with a clear handle on issues relating to health care, Betsy McCaughey, along with licensed attorney, co-author of Legalese to English, and co-founder of Lawyer Up Law School, Elura Nanos. Ladies, thank you both for joining us. And Betsy, I'm going to begin with you on this issue because here we have federal health officials announcing they are halting the largest ever clinical trial of early treatment for HIV because its benefits are already so clear, but there's this cost, $20 billion to treat the poor and middle-income countries around the world. We need to find this. Where do we find the money for this and who leads the way?
Well, of course, it is very, very good news to see how promising early treatment with this combination of drugs is, this cocktail. And of course, we want everyone to have it. But we need to start right here in the United States. One of my concerns is that the money will be dispersed quickly without enough safeguards to make sure that it's spent wisely. For example, recently, the Obama administration spent $5 billion, with a B, billion dollars on Ebola funding, almost all of which went to Africa, and Ebola has almost petered out in Africa. So a lot of the money will not be spent as it should be. It could have been spent much more wisely preventing infectious diseases in the hospitals right here in the United States. So I want to make sure that although we make sure everyone in the United States who has HIV gets the early treatment they need, we do not spend a lot of money all around the world until we have the safeguards in place to know it's not wasted.
Elura, I think that's what Americans want. They are willing to spend the money to save lives. They know how desperate a situation this is, but they don't trust this administration. Well, let's even go farther. They don't trust any government administration, Elura. They don't trust anybody to do this, yes?
And I think that that's true, and that's always going to be a concern. And as you said before, this may be something that we all feel that we just want to fix this problem at any cost. But of course, the costs are very high, and money is limited. And we're living in a country where only 37% of Americans with HIV are even receiving treatment. So I think the point is actually, is really well taken, that we do need to be very careful with how we allocate money for this issue. And I think we need to be careful to not politicize the medical studies and really make sure that we understand early treatment is the right thing. It's going to help, but of course it's going to require that we're careful with how we spend the money.
Let's turn from medical and turn to something that is trending heavily on the Newsmax website today. And this is a new television series on the Fox television network called Lucifer, which is loosely based on a comic strip called Sandman. And it is, again, about the dark one, if you will. 1 million moms has launched a petition asking Fox to take this off the air. Do not include it this fall. Elura, I go to you first. I have to play devil's advocate here, oddly enough, and basically say that isn't it the parents who need to be involved at the home level? If you don't want your kid watching it, don't let your kid watch it. Isn't that the most important thing?
I agree, absolutely. If you don't like something, don't watch it. If you think it's inappropriate, don't let your kids watch it. And I think that when I see this, when I see conservative groups really railing against television shows and movies where Christianity is involved or is part of the plot line, I'm always very confused about that, because to me, the fact that pop culture is embracing Christianity in a totally fictionalized version to be, a television show, to me, that shows that this is part of our mainstream culture. And I feel that these groups should be much more concerned if we saw no reference to Christianity in popular culture, to show that basically pop culture is totally secularized. I think that these type of things are good.
So, Betsy, I got 1 minute left into you.
Well, leaving aside the content entirely because it's irrelevant, on the one hand, I'm a strong believer, an absolutist believer in the First Amendment. So if this were government television, no one should be able to keep it off the air. On the other hand, Fox is going to make a business decision. Fox wants to keep its audience happy. If enough people find this show disgusting, they'll take it off the air, or their advertisers will force them to take it off the air. It's a business decision for them.
Look at it this way, too, I guess. If you're going to have the devil, where else to put him but in Los Angeles? I mean, Betsy
or
does
make
this.
sure he wears product.
Or where? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Make sure he wears Prada.
I would think so. Elura, I mean, it's just that if you're going to put him someplace, put him in Los Angeles, because it does kind of fit. If you've ever had any sort of dealings with the entertainment industry, would you not agree?
I would agree wholeheartedly. And I watched the trailer. It looks like a fun take on it. And I agree with what Betsy said. This is a business and entertainment decision, and that's where it's best left.
And here's the better thing. If you don't like it, don't watch it. The ratings will fall. It will go off television. And guess what? In a couple of years, we'll forget this ever happened. Nobody will think anything of it after that. We always think something of our two ladies joining us. Betsy McCaughey, Elura Nanos, thank you so much for being here. We'll do it all again real soon. And coming up next, right here, a shot across the Clinton bow from Ralph Nader. And how about making some sense of it all in the latest on the Clinton Foundation with Dick Morris? It's coming up next right here on the fastest 60 Minutes in News.